Arsenal's run of bad luck takes another turn for the worst. Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome to another video. Yesterday's video is going to centre around Arsenal Football Club, who have received more bad news whilst we are on this international break in the form of Martin Odegaard. The Norwegian playmaker has picked up a fresh injury whilst on international duty. It is just another piece of bad luck that Arsenal have received on this international break, with obviously a couple of more injuries obviously piling up, and obviously with a big schedule coming up in terms of both the Premier League and of course the Champions League restarting again for the season for the Gunners. It doesn't exactly look good for the foreseeable future of Arsenal Football Club. We're going to be talking about this string of bad luck that Arsenal are on right now. We're going to be discussing the injuries, the upcoming fixtures, and everything else in between. But before we go any further, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things are always and very greatly appreciated. Get involved in the comment section as well. Let me know your thoughts, your comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it in regards to Arsenal. And obviously this injury crisis they are seemingly in right now, and of course the upcoming fixtures. Would love to hear what you have to say all about that kind of stuff down below in that comment section. So please do use and abuse that comment section, people, and talk to me on these issues. I would love to know what you guys have to say on everything that we're going to be discussing here today. But without further ado, let's get on with the video. Let's talk Arsenal, injury crisis, upcoming fixtures, and everything else in between. So we know that Tomiyasu's out. We know that Declan Rice is going to be suspended for the upcoming North London derby against Tottenham. We know that Mikel Merino, their new summer signing, picked up an injury in a freak training ground accident that is going to see him ruled out until at least the end of October. And over the course of this international break, a couple more fresh injuries have hit Arsenal. First and foremost, Riccardo Calafiori, another new signing of the Gunners this past summer, picks up an injury with Italy on international duty. And then last night, Martin Odegaard limps off, clearly and visibly in a great deal of pain. And it has been revealed by certain journalists afterwards that he will at least be ruled out for at the very least a month or so. Could be more. Obviously, Gunners are hoping and praying that it could be less. But it seems roughly about a month if early reports are to be believed. This is just a string of bad luck for Arsenal. A string of bad luck, especially going into the North London derby. It does mean now, in my opinion, that although Arsenal's squad and the way that Arsenal fans big up their squad shouldn't really matter towards this, what I'm about to say, but it does sort of shift some of the pressure onto Tottenham a little bit more for this upcoming weekend to get a result in, of course, that huge North London derby that is set to play out before our very eyes on Sunday afternoon. We'll get onto that more in the Premier League predictions video that I'll do later on in the week. But in terms of Arsenal's squad, yes, it is a massive absence. It's a massive blow for this Arsenal side. Odegaard is the orchestrator of that team. He pulls the strings. He's the puppet master. He is the main creative influence in that Arsenal midfield. And without him, the standard goes down. It's clear and obvious that the standard goes down. However, in saying all of that, if this Arsenal side is as strong, is as competent, is as incredible as what these Arsenal fans and the ultra positive ones are telling us each and every single week, they should have no issue whatsoever in covering for his absence, covering for the absence of Calafiori, covering for the absence of Mikel Merino, and so on and so forth. Now, I get it. The injuries are piling up. But if the strength and depth is there, use it to your advantage. And there are a few things that obviously Arsenal can do in this situation. You can maybe drop Havertz a little deeper and go with a striker of someone like Gabriel Jesus, for example. You could go for Raheem Sterling through the centre, or Martinelli through the centre. You could go with Trossard. You could go with even Bukayo Saka. There are a lot of interchanging parts that maybe for the odd couple of games or so could really do a job for Arsenal in a specific area. It's a big test for Arsenal, this. And if they succeed and they come out of this, and if the injuries dry up, then it will be a massive step forward for them. Not just in terms of towards Premier League glory, but in terms of like a confidence boost, a momentum booster, all of that kind of stuff that mentally will work in their favour towards maybe becoming Premier League champions at the end of the season. It's a massive test, it's a massive obstacle for the Gunners to overcome. But, like I say, if their squad is deep enough and it's as good as what Arsenal fans claim it is, they should go for it. They should absolutely go for it. Like I said, there are a whole host of options as to the ways and things that obviously Mikel Arteta can play around with. It's going to be massive for the North London derby coming up. Obviously, there's no Declan Rice in that one. Not injured, but of course suspended for that one game for the red card he picked up in the Brighton game, which some Arsenal fans still haven't quite gotten over. But yes, it is a massive period of time now for Arsenal, especially when you consider the fixtures that are coming up. Like I say, you've got the Champions League restarting very, very soon. In fact, next week, actually. They go to Tottenham. Oh no, they face Tottenham this weekend. Then they open their Champions League campaign against Atalanta, last season's Europa League champions. We know about them. They've got Manchester City next weekend, so it doesn't exactly get any easier for them. And then they may have the likes of Leicester, Southampton. I think they've got a Carabao Cup game in the mix of all that as well. And I think they've got PSG as well in the Champions League in the second game of the league phase of the UCL. So there's some interesting games there. I think if they can override the two hurdles of the North London derby and and Manchester City, of course, it will be a big momentum booster for them. It will be a big confidence booster that, like, hey, we can do it without our main creative influence. We can do this without Odegaard. And it kind of relieves the pressure on Odegaard a little bit. And of course, it will just give a whole host of confidence and momentum to the rest of that Arsenal team that they can get by these tough fixtures without their main creative influence and playmaker. So it would be massive for them if they could do it. Once they get past City, though, you would expect them to beat Leicester. You would expect them to beat Southampton. You would expect them to progress in the Carabao Cup. Champions League, they've got a couple of really tough opening fixtures. So, you know, if they can get, as a minimum, 4 points out of those first two games, that would be fantastic from their point of view. I just think that, obviously, those are the kind of fixtures that you're looking at and going, Odegaard will probably miss those, but maybe back after the international break, if that is to be believed. That's where you're looking at and going, this is where Arsenal need to prove their mettle now. This is where Arsenal need to really test themselves and test their squad against some of the best. You've got Tottenham, which is always going to be a tough fixture. I don't care what Arsenal fans say. I don't care how bad Tottenham are. We know that in these kinds of situations, the lesser team, with all due respect to Tottenham, will treat this like a cup final. Not that Tottenham turn up for cup finals. But you get what I mean. You get what I mean. They will put a little bit more effort into these kind of games because there's a rivalry, there is pride and bragging rights at stake. We know that obviously in these kinds of games, they will put in more effort seemingly into this one than in most others. And like I say, with the kind of crisis that Arsenal are going into that game with, no Rice, no Marino, no Calafiori, no Odegaard now, no Tomiyasu, there is more of an incentive for Tottenham to maybe look at a bit of a weakened Arsenal team and maybe go for the kill. You've then got, of course, Champions League. Are they going to rotate for that one? Can they afford to rotate for that one? Is that a bit of a sacrificial game, and maybe they can look at other games later on down the line and go, you know what, we may sacrifice this game, but maybe we'll have to go again harder down the line. Then Manchester City, that's going to be huge. That is going to be absolutely huge, because I believe, I could be wrong in saying this, but I believe it's at the Etihad, that one. That was the game that I was looking at and going, that's going to be huge for Arsenal, because they play City at the Etihad very early on in the season. And if they're going there without their main creative player, that's going to be a massive absence for them. And it's just going to be interesting to see how this squad does cover for that major absence. Beyond that, with the exception of maybe PSG in the Champions League, they all should be winnable games for Arsenal, and their strength and depth should obviously see them out. But they are all potential banana skins at the end of the day. There is no easy game in the Premier League, and it'd be horrible to think that there would be. But Arsenal, realistically, if they are to be the main contenders, if they are to be this great challenger to the giant, the Goliath, the unstoppable machine, the juggernaut that is Manchester City, then they will need to prove their mettle. They will need to prove their strength and depth over the next few weeks with these injuries currently piling up. Fingers crossed there isn't any more injuries from Arsenal's point of view. Fingers crossed Odegaard has a speedy recovery. And fingers crossed, obviously, that Arsenal can get back to full strength, because that's what we want to see. We want to obviously test ourselves against the best. And Arsenal are one of the best in the league as of right now. So we're waiting to see, obviously, for further information on these kind of injuries and these kind of things. But it's going to be a massive month ahead for Arsenal. And especially if their run of bad luck doesn't pick up anytime soon, you know, you do worry as to where Arsenal could potentially be in about a month or so's time. But those are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of Arsenal? What do you make of the injury crisis they are currently going through? And what do you make of their upcoming fixture list as well? Let me know your thoughts, your comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, down below in the comment section. Use and abuse that section. People would love to hear what you have to say on Arsenal and all of these matters that I've discussed in this video. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way out if you enjoy the video. Subscribe if you are new and want to see more content like this. Both things that will support the channel, of course, are very much appreciated by me. So thank you all so much in advance. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will soon speak to you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks for watching. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Speak to you all again very, very soon.